I'm Michael from Business Day Financial Mail. I'm here with Peter Leon from Weber Wenzel, expert in mining law. Peter, how do you see the government's involvement in this dialogue between the mining companies and the labour unions? And how do you rate the chances of this process working out?
Well, the government's only one part of the equation, Michael. The reality is, obviously, it's a very important actor because the regulators, the Department of Mineral Resources, but, the government through President Zuma has now brought the full force of the government to bear on all these issues, having appointed Deputy President Motlanthe to run this consultative forum and the Finance Minister to deal with the issue of investors, particularly foreign investors. But it is, at the end of the day, government is only one actor in this. The other actors are obviously Labour, with all the problems we see with AMCU and the NUM, and business, the companies who are running the mines. So, essentially, in my view, it is all three are going to have to chart a way forward around the issues that are really bedeviling the industry at the moment. Government's a very interested party in all of this because at the end of the day, the mining industry contributes substantially, 60% in fact, of South Africa's exports. It's the biggest private sector employer in the country. What happens in the mining industry has a direct effect on gross domestic product and a direct effect on the South African rand, on the currency and on the balance of payments and the current account. So, you can't just say this is an issue that the private sector through the mining companies and Labour have to resolve on their own, because government is a very interested party. And at the end of the day, besides any of the facts I've just mentioned to you, the government is the regulator as well, because the Department of Mineral Resources regulates the industry and the Department of Labour is responsible for labour relations. So that's another important factor. And one of the criticisms, I think, of government in the wake of Marikana, while there was a lot of activity after Marikana, and the President very commendably set up the Commission of Inquiry by Judge Farlam very quickly, but the interministerial task team that government set up around and at the time of Marikana appears to have gone nowhere. So, clearly government does have a very important role to play here and needs to be seen to be playing that role, in my view. What I would do, and this is the opportunity, is to fix the regulatory problems bedeviling the industry, which are really driven by the way in which the Mineral Petroleum Resources Development Act was drafted originally. I think the Amendment Act, which was brought into law last Friday, is unfortunate. But the government and the minister have a heaven-sent opportunity in many respects with the Mineral Petroleum Resources Development Amendment Bill, which is about to go to Parliament, to fix it in such a way that it provides the sort of levels of confidence that the industry and investors are looking for. That, in other words, you move away from a discretionary regulatory model to one which is much more in accordance with international best practice, which encourages investment in the industry and really, brings the industry up from a regulatory perspective to the levels where Botswana is rated. Because, South Africa is now in the bottom third of the countries which are surveyed by the Fraser Institute in Canada. We're about position number 64 of 96 countries, whereas Botswana is in position number 17. So, that just gives you an example in Africa. The other thing I think the minister could do is take a more even-handed approach to labour issues. Well, she's obviously not the Labour minister, because that is a different ministry. It seems to me that some of the things she said over the past couple of months don't seem to show an even-handed approach to the National Union of Mine Workers in relation to the Association of Mine Workers and Construction Union, AMCU. And I'm referring in particular to the minister's speech to the last NUM conference, which showed, in my view, a considerable bias towards the NUM.
President Zuma has tasked Deputy President Kgalema Motlanthe to find a solution to the problems bedeviling the mining industry at the moment.
Well, he has. Deputy President Motlanthe has started that process of discussions with all the relevant players, the unions, the Chamber of Mines, the mining companies. And there is, of course, the forum, which is taking place on Friday, where these things are going to be, I think what the stakeholders plan to do is come up with some sort of statement. But, as far as I can see, and my view is really this, that has to be the beginning of the process, because actually what you need to deal with these issues and to resolve them is effectively a social compact, a stakeholder agreement between government, labour and business, which commits all three parties to an effective resolution of the issues which are bedeviling the industry at the moment. And, until you have that, I think the sort of issues we've been dealing with in the last couple of months are simply going to recur.